Hi, so when I was reading this article, it inspired me to talk about teaching through storytelling. My mother, she's from Mexico, and the culture over there requires, or not requires, but people naturally tell stories to explain things. So my mother would always teach us through storytelling growing up about behavior or, things that you learn in church and things like that. So she would always explain to us her own experiences and also experiences of others. And she would literally make up stories when she had to comb my hair and I was a little kid going crazy. I didn't want my hair to be combed when I was like 4, and she would sit me down and tell me some story. There's a lot of power behind storytelling, and helps people, especially our students, connect with you. So that's why when I read this article, it really resonated with me because I feel very strongly about storytelling, especially with our ELL group, our LEP. So actually, we just took an assessment, and I was really proud and happy because the gap between my mainstream kids and the ELL students was closing in. And this is a trend every year only because it's part of their culture, and just like it benefits any student for them to connect with you and to be able to see the math in a way that they can relate in real life. So before I make my lessons, I always think about what is it that's in their culture, or what is it that's near us. We live in El Paso, so there's very few things to do. I mean, food is a big deal. We have very few amusement parks and things like that. So first of all, of course, teaching vocabulary is super important. So I always embed vocabulary, in the beginning of any lesson and explain thoroughly. For an example, 2x, when they see a coefficient or as I would say with the kids, a number next to a letter, this letter represents an unknown number. That means multiplication. So, what are some synonyms here that you see that represents that multiplication? So, we would have that discussion and things like that. And I would drag and drop these words into place because we are virtual learning. So I'm still trying to embed vocabulary. Okay. So here, this is where I get my where I put my examples in from what is around them. And then I like using a program called Jiffy. Jiffy is like a free website where you can download these movable images. They're tiny clips of things to make it more eye-catching, eye-grabbing. So there's this park called Western Playland that almost every kid has gone to because, like I said, there's very little amusement here. So at Western Playland, you can go for 17 total dollars to go on all the rides. And actually, I showed them the website to Western Playland to show them the rate. This is the real rate from Western Playland. And then at Western Playland, you can also pay $3 each ride and a $5 admission. So we compared the two rates. We talked about it first. And then I asked the kids to try to write an equation to them. So that was really interesting. Then I was able to see the misconceptions and what I needed to target more on. And of course, with this web paint tool, it's really cool because you can write on the web and things like that. So little things like this help it to be very visual for the kids. So the $3 each ride and a $5 admission, we would write as 3x plus 5. And then we talked about how when something is equal means it means when something is the same. So I said, at what point would you be paying the same amount? Comparing these two situations. And so we went into that, and then a lot of my kiddos, well, not a lot, but there's a big group of kids that like to race, that like to run because they're in sports or whatever. So Isaiah ran a constant rate, and I used a child's name in my class. Isaiah ran a constant rate of 7 minutes per mile plus 1 minute of warm up at the start. and then, referring to the vocabulary and stuff, we were able to write it. And then this other girl, Ariana, we all know that she doesn't like to run. So I tried to choose a picture that looked just like her, where she's just skipping around. And I even talked about how, hey, who do you think is going to win this race? The kid in this picture or the girl in this picture? They're like, oh, obviously this boy. He seems like he's a little bit more into it. I'm like, yeah. So let's see if your prediction's correct. And so we would write that equation out, and then sure enough, Isaiah was the one that was putting in more effort because his constant rate was 7 minutes per mile versus Ariana, whose was 10 minutes per mile. And this kid was ambitious. He had a 1 minute warm up at the start. He was probably jogging around in place and stuff. So it makes the kids real excited for something that isn't so exciting. Writing equations is such a difficult task for the kids. So yeah, and then at the very end, this was our exit ticket at Eastwood Middle School, which is our rival middle school. The dance costs $5 per ticket, but at Bel Air, this is the school that we're at, Bel Air Middle School, you can buy a $3. You can buy a $3 and a $2 bag of chips. Oh yeah, you can buy a ticket. I'm sorry, you can buy a ticket with $3 and a $2 bag of chips with cheese. I might have erased that by accident. So then I said, so which one do you think is the better school? Eastwood is paying for a lot more for their dance ticket, but you over here, you guys get to buy a dance ticket, but at the same time buy a $2 bag of chips. So let's compare that rate. Or let's compare these two situations, these two schools, and then I had them choose between all of these. So in fact, this should have been B, A, B, C, D. So before I gave it to them, this was all fixed. I think this is the one that I was working on before I fixed it. But as you can see here, this girl over here dancing, and they do these kind of dances in their TikToks and stuff. So they thought that was pretty funny that she's just over here dancing in the corner. But that's just something that I like to do.